Assalamu alaikum students, welcome to the unit 2 part B2. As you know students, in previous lecture we discussed story elements, and we also discussed first three elements of a story with reference to the story, the caliph and the gardener, which were characters, events, which were characters, plot, and setting. Today we are going to discuss further three elements of the story, which is conflict, uh, theme, and point of view. So conflict, the fourth element of a story is a conflict. What is a conflict? Conflict is basic issue, basic problems, basic challenge in a story in which the characters of the story try to solve those issues, challenges, or problems. Every story must have a conflict. You cannot find any story without a conflict. There must be a conflict. There is a conflict. If we talk about movies, if we talk about drama, if you talk about stories, if you talk about novels, you will find certain types of conflict. There might be some kind of movies or some kind of season in which there are multiple we can say conflicts, not only single conflict. But if we talk about short stories, most of the time short stories deals with one or two type of conflicts. So, a conflict is a challenge or a problem around which the plot is based. Without conflict, the story will have no purpose or no meaning. It is certain. A conflict is a struggle between two people or things in a short story. Like if we discuss the examples of the movies, Indian movies, most of the time in Indian movies there is a hero, and he is fighting against side hero who is antagonist, protagonist against antagonist. So it is the type of conflict, man versus man. So if we talk about the conflict and its types, this conflict is further divided into four parts. Number one, man versus self. Number two, man versus man. Number three, man versus society. Number four, man versus nature. If we talk about man versus self, in man versus self, a character fights against himself. There are certain kind of things in his inner, we can say, personality, who is against his success, against his will. If we talk for example, there might be a character who is lazy, who does not do anything, he procrastinate all the time, wasting his time. So the conflict in that story could be that he is fighting against himself to just abandon this habit of being lazy and start working to achieve purposes of the life. For example, if we talk about Hamlet, which is a drama by Shakespeare, in that man versus self element is presented, where Hamlet, the main character, says that to be or not to be, he is not able to decide something. So it is man versus self. The second, we can say, type of conflict is man versus man. What is man versus man? Man versus man conflict is a type of a conflict in which a man fights against another man. Most of the time the hero, which is also called protagonist, the protagonist might fight against the antagonist, side hero. So it is possible that the hero is, we can say, most of the time the hero is on the part of being the goodness, he supports goodness, and the side hero and the antagonist is supporting badness. So it is man versus man. Another type of conflict is man versus society. Sometimes what happens that the writer writes a story in which the main characters are fighting against the society. Society is a hurdle. Society is a, we can say, issue in their, we can say, in their way to achieve their goals. So society can be norms and notions. For example, if we talk about, we can say, different types of culture in the world, they do not allow, they are not liberal. And if there is a character who wants to achieve his goal, so he is liberal, so the society is against him. Another type of conflict is man versus nature. Man versus nature means that there are certain types of There are certain types of, we can say, stories in which the writer or which writer depicts as, we can say, characters who are fighting against nature. Nature could be disasters, nature could be, we can say, fire in jungle, nature could be these animals who are treating who might mistreat humans. So it is man versus nature. If we talk about the conflict in the story, the caliph and the gardener. In the caliph and the gardener, first of all, the basic conflict is man versus nature. It is the bird, it is the eagle who takes away the money bag of the merchant. And the second conflict is men versus, we can say, men versus men. How men versus men? Because this money bag is taken from one place and it is put to another place. It is near gardener. Now it depends upon the gardener. If he is good, he is going to give the money. If he is bad, he is going to conceal the money. So there is also men versus, we can say, men. And we also find that this conflict can be changed. If we talk about the next element of the story, it is point of view. What is point of view? Point of view is the art, or point of view is the way through which the writer depicts the story, through which the writer narrates the story. Narrate means how he tells the story. To identify the point of view in a story, students must ask who is telling the story. You might come across stories in which the main character, the hero, he is telling the story. You might come across the stories in which a normal person, a normal character tells the story. You might come across the stories in which neither the hero nor the normal, it is the writer who is just narrating the story. So this point of view means the way a writer narrate, the way the writer tells the story. If we talk about point of view, it is further divided. There are three types of point of view: first person point of view, second person point of view, and third person point of view. If you talk about first person point of view, it is a type of, we can say, narration in which the writer uses I pronoun, I, me, as, we, as a tool to narrate the story. In the first person point of view, the person telling the story is a character, usually the main character, usually the hero, but not always, and it speaks from an I perspective. I did this, I went there, I came across this problem. There is only I, or we can say me, or first person pronouns to be used. In second person point of view, which is very rare in storytelling, it is a type of point of view in which you or your second person pronouns are used to narrate the story. A second person point of view allows you, the reader, to experience the story through a you perspective. This point of view is not a common as first or the third point of view. If we talk about the third person point of view, it is a third person narrator tells a story that is happening to other people. A narrator can be omniscient, where they know about all the events and characters, or limited, where they follow only one or a few characters. In third person point of view, from the name, it is certain that the writer uses third person pronouns. In person pronouns, he uses he, she, it, they, their, her, his. These types of pronouns are used in third person point of view. If we talk about the point of view in the story, The Caliph and the Gardener, which is the subject of these lectures, so the point of view is third person point of view. It is the writer who is telling their names, who is using pronouns, who is using their, we can say, names, and we come across the story through this way. If we move to the next, or we can say the last part of the story, or elements of a story, it is theme. What is theme? Themes are not depicted directly in the story. You cannot find those themes written by the author, that this is the theme, I want to say this, but it is hidden in the story. We the reader, we read the story, we try to catch the lesson, what the storyteller or the author wants to say, and those things that we catch, those lessons, it is known as theme. The theme is the central idea or belief in a short story. The theme in the story is big idea or underlying messages about life. It can be one word that embodies what a story is trying to say, or it can be a longer phrases, ideas, beliefs, moral lesson, or insight. It is the central argument that the author is trying to make the reader understand. The theme is the why of the story. If you read a story and you ask yourself why the story is written, so you are dealing with theme of the story, you are dealing with the lesson of the story, you are dealing with the main point of the story, main we can say purpose of writing a story. And there are certain different types of themes in the world. The writer wants to write a story to inform you. To inform you can be a theme. The writer wants to we can say depict a lesson of goodness, lesson of morality, lesson of being kind to people, honesty, different kinds of things you can come across. You sometimes come across the theme in which a person wants to change the society. Now change the society can be a theme. So there are different types of themes. It depends on the mentality of the author, which ideology or which we can say point of view he has or he wants to depict in the story. If we discuss the theme with respect to the story, the caliph and the gardener, so we come across many we can say theme. It depends on you that which part of the story you we can say which theme you come across. It is possible that the themes that I have we can say pointed out could be different from the themes that you have pointed out. It is known as reader response theory. Reader response theory means that you have different ideas, you have different backgrounds, you have come across different we can say background to read the story. I have come across another background, so it differs. When you read the story, you find another theme. When I read the story, I find another theme, and it is the beauty of this we can say reader response theory, that everyone is right in his own place until and unless he is relevant to the story. He points out certain we can say points from the story, certain we can say instances from the story. uh, what I have come across the conclusion that there are certain themes in the story, the caliph and the gardener: honesty, cleverness, generosity, poverty, caliph or king's unawareness about their people. These are the basic themes that I have come across. I have pointed out, or I have found in this story. Honesty. The honesty is one of the theme of the story. It is honesty of the gardener, that he brings the basic the money back. He can conceal the money. He can say lie that he has not found any money or anything else. Second thing, he's the cleverness is also another theme. These the gardener, he is very clever. He knows how to deal, how to reply the caliph so that he might be in safe side, because he has spent 10 gold pieces out of those money. So he deals it with very cleverly. He says that he is poor, he does not have money, he does not have food to eat, he does not have clothes, and his children, his wife, they are living in a poor life. So therefore he took only 10 pieces of gold. When the caliph listens this, he shows his generosity. Generosity is also a theme, that the caliph or the king is a generous. He shows generosity. He says that to reward him is my job. I will reward him 10 more gold pieces, and I will also we can say forgive his debts. Poverty, that the we can say poverty is also a thing, because the caliph and the rich people, they are in the city, they are rich, they have money. But those people who are living far away in countryside, they are they are poor. They does not have we can say food. They do not have clothes, which is depicted in the story. Another last theme I would like to discuss is caliph or king's unawareness about their people. Now it is we can say an instance, it is an event that the caliph came across the people who are very poor. If the merchant would not come and he would not narrate his we can say lost money, the caliph would never know about the people who are living in their poor. So it is also one aspect of the story. So this is my analysis. Here we end the we can say part B of the unit 2, and second part and second lecture. Thank you so much for listening. Hopefully, hope you have learned and you have understood these six elements of the story. And whenever you will come across another story, try to find these elements and try to analyze the story through these six elements, and it will be further, we can say, polished. Thank you so much.